Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program career mode video. And at the end of the last video, we talked about all the contracts that we're going to be doing for this one. So our main record-keeping society contract that we seem to follow in our Kerbal Space Program career mode, because they, again, seem to be kind of the main quests of the career mode. Our contract for these guys is to orbit Minmus and do an orbital spacewalk near Minmus. Considering our last video, a very, very easy contract that we should be able to get no problem. As well as the record-keeping society contract, we are also going to be going for two others, and we're going to be doing Sean's Cannery, plant a flag on Minmus. Also should be very, very easy because we have a lot of rocket parts that can get us a lot of Delta V and be able to return to Kerbin safely after landing on Minmus. And we also have science data from the surface of Minmus from Reaction Systems Ltd, so just as easy as planting a flag on Minmus, if not easier. And as far as our research spending for this episode, the only module that I really want right now is going to be this advanced fuel systems module, and this is going to give us these angled, slanted C7 brand adapter tanks. And honestly, we don't really need to get this module. I just want to because it looks cool. So let's go ahead and purchase that one for 160 science points, and then we're also going to get the flight control module, which is going to give us some of the delta wings, I believe, which are basically aerodynamic control surfaces which move. So we'll be able to manipulate the air around our rocket and better maneuver our rocket in the atmosphere. We also get a very small inline reaction wheel, which we probably won't use too much, and a K2 command pod. Now, the K2 command pod is a mod. It's not basic game Kerbal Space Program, so I'm probably not going to use it. I really just have it for my personal career mode save. But the real reason I'm going to be purchasing the flight control mod is we then unlock one module that is pretty important for this video, and then one that I just really like and is pretty necessary for some of the later builds. So this landing module, pretty much the only thing I want from this is the heat shield at 2.5 meters and the LT1 landing struts, which are going to be used in our mission today. So we're going to go ahead and purchase that for 90 science. And actually, you know what? That's going to be as much of the modules as we purchase for this video, because we don't need any of the other ones just yet. Once we need them, we'll purchase them. I mean, I guess we don't really need this one either. I just kind of want it for this video. So we'll save the rest of these for later. Let's get into the VAB and start building our rocket ship. I'm making this a heavy version for whatever reason. I just feel like it's gonna mix it up a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll be honest, these are a little bit too fat. So again, to keep up with our naming scheme for this series, we're gonna call this one Min2 Lander. So we're gonna go ahead and save that and check our staging, make sure everything's firing when it needs to fire, and it looks like everything's good to go. So let's make sure we get Jeb in that cockpit there, because he has the most XP and will be able to do the most for our mission here. And I would add a ladder and stuff like that to this ship, but because Minmus's gravity is so low compared to Kerbin's, we don't really need it, because we can pretty much just jump over this thing once we are landed on Minmus. So I think this is all good enough for the building. Maybe we'll have to come back and put some struts on these two heavy tanks on the side. But if we don't need to, we don't need to, and we're just going to go forth with the mission. Oh, this is so nice. Oh, this is so nice. Thank God Jebediah leveled up in the last video, because now we get the normal, anti-normal, radial out, and radial in maneuver holds. What a dream. Everything except the maneuver node hold, which will come shortly, probably once we orbit the sun for the first time, or Kerbal, if you will. Why is it doing that? Why is it rotating like that? Why is it doing that? Why? Why? Is it because of the fuel canisters I put on there? Is that why? Oh, well. No. Okay, well, this didn't go necessarily as planned. I'm gonna call this mission not a failure yet, because we're gonna continue with it. But I am gonna revert flight to the vehicle assembly building and get rid of all the crap we just put on here. So these 2 heavy fuel tanks, get rid of them. And let's put back on our 8 aerodynamic, what do you call these? Basic fins. Okay, fair enough. So let's just go ahead and launch it, and I will meet you guys on the other side of an orbit. God damn it, I overshot it again. I don't do this. I never overshoot the orbits in my personal playthroughs, but I always do it when I'm recording. Oh. Stage separation. It's like I completely forget how to play this game. So once again, now that we are in a stable orbit around Kerbin, we are going to set Minmus as the target, and just like the last video, we are going to set a maneuver at the descending node and pin the ascending node, and that should get us good enough. And what do you know, our burn time is the same as last time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this thrust limiter until we get an even number. 22 is good, and since we're burning normal, we can just set our little maneuver node hold that Jeb now has to normal, and we shouldn't have to worry about it any further than that. This thing looks so weird, but it's gonna work, right? Like, this is the weirdest looking vehicle I've ever seen. It looks like a fat human with a long ass neck and like shoulders way down here. All right, we're not gonna overshoot this one. Here we go. We're gonna stop time warping at like 18 seconds. And 11 seconds, we will start the burn. There we go. And then we're gonna get a perfect 0.0 degree inclination difference for Minmus's orbit. We're not gonna mess it up. This is gonna be a flawless mission from here on out. Okay, now let's add a maneuver just pretty much anywhere we want. I'm gonna guess right around here. And then we're gonna try and get an encounter by extending our apoapsis out past the orbit of Minmus. And we get another moon encounter again? Why? Why does this keep happening? Should we do it though? I mean, because literally it's like the periapsis is so far away from the moon that it doesn't change our orbit like at all. I don't want to encounter the moon. I honestly don't think that we can get a maneuver without running into the moon. So I guess we'll do it. I mean, we don't really have that much of a choice, because it's either this or wait until they separate a little bit within their orbits, because they're pretty lined up with one another right now. It's either do it now or wait. I don't really feel like waiting because I'm already recording and I just want to do it, you know? So let's just go ahead and hold on the blue maneuver node marker, and then we're going to warp to the next maneuver. So we're going to encounter the moon and Minmus again in this video. I don't know why it's happened twice now, because this never happens ever to me, but it's happened twice in 2 videos. Like, what? All right, so wait. Okay, all right, I overshot it again. I was like, okay, so we need to bring the T-minus down to about 7 seconds. That was wrong. That was like dead wrong. So I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. It's only making my life harder. And I could always go back and reshoot it, but why? You know, as long as we complete the mission, it doesn't have to necessarily be perfectly clean. You know, I always feel like the mission has to go 100% perfect. I have to burn exactly on the correct maneuver nodes at the correct time, but I don't. Sometimes I just don't want to feel that way. Let's bring this down here. There we go. That looks good to me. Hopefully we get onto the correct side of Minmus's orbit so that we rotate in the same, or we have an orbit in the same direction that it's rotating, revolving. I don't really know the difference. I always get screwed up on those two, but I think it might be revolving. Quote me on that. Quote me on that one. Normally I say don't quote me on that one, quote me on that one. It's revolving. That's what it is. So we're encountering the moon at a very, very distant orbit, so it won't really affect our current orbit too much. Okay, so what's going on here? I don't know why this is showing up this way now. Maybe this is a 1.6 thing. I don't know, but we have a very high orbit. Can we change that? Let's go anti-normal. We have a, like, it's insanely high, right? Oh, you know what? That's probably what the moon did. The moon just kind of threw us off on our, inclination a little bit. So let's go ahead and burn a little bit anti-normal to see if we can't line this up with Minmus's equator. There we go. Okay, so I think that's good. That looks a lot better. That looks a hell of a lot better. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, let's just warp until we are in Minmus's sphere of influence. So we are very far away from this, because encountering the moon really kind of messed us up there. This is going to get interesting. Let's get that periapsis right around, like, 15,000. I think 15,000 is, like, the highest point on Minmus. Let's go 13,000. 30-second burn. We should be good. Okay, so we're going to burn at a periapsis of our flyby for 30 seconds. That's going to reduce our periapsis of the orbit of Minmus down to 13 meters per second. Then we are going to do kind of a reverse Hohmann transfer. And then at our new periapsis, we're going to burn retrograde once again and bring our apoapsis in closer, right around 15 to 13,000 meters. And then we should be slow enough to then start to descend on Minmus. So let's go ahead and warp to the next maneuver, and I am not messing this up this time. I think I messed up, like, soon after I said no more mess-ups. Okay, so we got 8 seconds. We got 5 seconds. Let's do this right this time. There we go. Burn right on 15. And we're just gonna very steadily bring this orbit in very close to Minmus. And there we go, 13,000 meters is going to be our closest point to Minmus. And now let's take a look at our contracts before we really go any further, because we still have 3 days before we get to that periapsis. So this is our Kerbal Record-Keeping Society contract right here, Explore Minmus. So we need to orbit Minmus, which we have a green check, so we have completed it. And now what we need to do is go on an orbital spacewalk near Minmus. And it says near Minmus, but I think it just means anywhere in Minmus's sphere of influence. So let's go ahead and do an EVA with Jeb. And there goes our green check mark for the orbital spacewalk. We're going to board back in, turn on our SAS so we don't go flopping all over the place. And then we're going to go into the Space Center, and we're going to check out Mission Control to see if they give us another contract that we can complete in this video. Hopefully it's a Minmus-related one. It is. Land on Minmus and return to Kerbin from orbit of Minmus. Awesome. So this is the contract we are going to accept, and it doesn't look like there are any other ones. Yes, there is. I want to also do this one because it's very, very easy. Not going to give us a lot of science, funds, or reputation, but it is very easy. And all we need to do is do some sort of science. Whether it gives us any science points at all, we just kind of need to transmit some sort of scientific research back to Kerbin from space around Kerbin. So let's go ahead and select our Min2 lander and go ahead and fly it, so that we can now change this orbit and then land on Minmus. So I realize I just selected warp there and not a maneuver. Okay, so we're just... Okay, now, the tricky part about getting to the surface of Minmus. We need to find, I want to find one of these flat places to land, but I would like for them, one, to be, you know, on the light side of Minmus, and as well, it needs to line up with our orbit so that we can get it very easily. I believe there's one just right underneath us, but I don't want to do that, because that's just going to cost Delta V, so we're going to wait and rotate around Minmus for a little while. Oh, you know what? Oh, shit. We're going the opposite direction. We could have probably made something happen with that. I don't know. Let's select this area right here as our primary place that we're going to land. Because one, it's fairly lit up, and two, it's pretty in line with our orbit. And three, it's not going to take too much Delta V to get to. So I'm just going to burn on the radial until it raises our inclination, just so it allows us to fly over this place just a little bit more. I'm burning normal right now, right? Burning up. I'm burning up, right? Oh, no. That is not how that works, because our orbit is in the retrograde direction rather than the prograde direction like it should be. So the anti-normal and normal are now flipped. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to flip it just like this so we get a nice clear spot right here. And then we're going to go to retrograde and start our landing burn. And we only have 1,500 meters per second of delta V left. But we still should be able to get this if we time this just right. So, there we go, right in the middle of that flat plane. I'm assuming this is the greater flats biome or the lesser flats biome. I don't really know for sure. But let's see how much burn time we have left. We still have 70 seconds of burn time, so that's still a decent amount to land and then get back into an orbit. And then, once again, orbit Kerbin, and hopefully get inside the atmosphere pretty much in one go. So we have about, I think we have like 4 contracts that we're going to complete very, very soon. We're going to get a lot of money from this. So let's make sure we toggle our gear group. And then we're going to time warp until we see an impact 2. An impact timer. Here we go. From the better burn time mod. And so we have an estimated burn time of 7 seconds because we have a massive thrust to weight ratio at 35.16 because Minmus's gravity is so low compared to even the moon and Kerbin. Okay, so now if I overshoot this and mess this up, this is where the mission fails and I will have to redo this video. But I'm going to really make sure that that doesn't happen this time. Okay, and we are going to start our suicide burn. It's not really going to be a suicide burn here in about 5 seconds. And we're just going to burn on the retrograde. Keep that hold. Just going to do little burns at a time. Bleed off about 10 meters per second each time. And then we just want to get inside right around 6 meters per second. That seems to be pretty much the magic number. We're just going to kind of keep it here. Touchdown in 6 seconds. So let's speed up this landing just a little bit. We want to kind of get within 3 meters per second for a really good soft landing. And, oh, that's not good. That's not good. Okay, throttle up a little bit. Throttle up. Nope. That's not the direction I'm gonna go. Not at all. Okay. We're gonna hop a little bit. We're gonna hop a little bit into the... This is a calamity. Oh, man. Landing on Minmus is really hard when you have a high thrust to weight ratio, I tell you what. I also realized we never changed this. This is, like, insane. Does that bring us up to a 74% 74 thrust to weight ratio? That's ridiculous. Alright, let's kill off our velocity so we can land pretty vertical this time. I don't know what is up with my landing today. What is up with anything that I'm doing? It's so sloppy. There we go. A rocky touchdown, but we don't bounce back up. That's what I was looking for there. Okay, awesome, brilliant. So now, let's go ahead and do our science stuff. Let's observe our Science Junior 125 science if we recover the vessel. Let's go ahead and do both of our mystery goos here. We're gonna get a little bit more than 50 science from those. Let's do a pressure data 60. Count them, 60 science, temperature 40 science. Let's do an EVA report. We'll go ahead and take a surface sample, 150 science. Let's take that. We'll do an EVA report for 40 science. Lots of science happening here. Let's go ahead and let go with space. Turn on our RCS thrusters for Jeb's little backpack there. And we're just going to touch down nice and slow on Minmus here. And then we're going to plant a flag, which will complete our contract here. And then we just kind of want to get, okay, all right, Minmus, you know, keeping with the naming theme of our flags. And then we're just going to get Jebediah back into this command module here. This is one of the nice things about Minmus is that because the gravity is so low, it's very easy to move around with the RCS thrusters. So let's board back in, and I believe the last thing we need to do is do a crew report, which will give us 25 more science. So let's check out our contracts and make sure we're not missing anything. So it seems like plant a flag on the moon. We don't need to do that right now, or we can't do that right now. Transmit or recover scientific data from space around Kerbin. Can't do that just yet. Land on Minmus, we have completed. Return to Kerbin from an orbit of Minmus. Bring a vessel that was in a stable orbit of Minmus back to the surface of Kerbin to achieve this goal. So we may have to do a little bit of something here. Because what I was planning on doing is just going straight from the surface back into an orbit of Kerbin once we line up with Minmus's retrograde. But it seems like with this contract, I don't think we can let that happen. It seems that we're going to have to actually get into an orbit and then worry about making our burn back to Kerbin, and then plant a flag on Minmus. We have completed that contract, and transmit or recover scientific data from the surface of Minmus. And we have all the scientific data. As long as we survive the trip home, we should be okay. But I do want to check the Space Center once again to check out mission control to see if there are any other contracts that we can do. Nope. No contracts. No good contracts. Okay, so now all we need to do is get back to Kerbin. So let's make sure we do, once again, an eastward launch. And I would love it if my ship were to rotate like I would like it to. We're just going to throttle up just a little bit to allow it to rotate. And then we're just going to get it right here, and then we're going to start tilting over eastward, and then we're going to throttle all the way up, and then we'll just tilt over eastward. About 45 degrees, that's good for me. Let's see where that puts us at on our suborbital trajectory. Let's go ahead and do 90 degrees full on sideways and see where this gets us. This may get us in orbit pretty much straight away. Okay, and it looks like that's about as good as we can get for right now and being this close to the surface. So let's jut out a little bit. So we're going to warp towards... we can't warp yet because we are still too close to the surface. And this looks like we are going to absolutely crash into Minmus, but I assure you that we will not. Ooh, maybe if I just do... You know what? I'm just going to quit messing with it for right now. Okay, so we are in what I would call a stable orbit. It's not a perfect orbit, but it is a stable orbit around Minmus. But it's not checking off yet. Oh, you know what? Because it's a two-part. It's a two-part check mark. It really should be like 3 parts. It should be in a stable orbit around Minmus and then return to Kerbin. So we are in a stable orbit. I'm going to call it right now. If we're not, we're going to go ahead and quick save right now just in case. And then we need to find where we're going retrograde. So we can probably just burn prograde right now. So like I explained in the last, in the 2 moon flyby in orbits and moon landing videos, all we need to do is burn in the retrograde direction of Minmus's orbit, which will be on the prograde of just this side of our orbit. And that'll bring our velocity down, hopefully with inside Kerbin's atmosphere. And then we will be able to slow down very, very softly, nicely, and not have to worry about too much of anything else. All we need to do is make sure we have enough delta V. So we have 800 meters per second right now. We just need to make sure that we use this very, very wisely. And so here we go. We're getting very close to Kerbin's atmosphere. Let's go ahead and go with... I really want to slow down. So I may have to bring this in a lot closer than I normally would, because if we don't, we're escaping Kerbin's sphere of influence altogether and going into a orbit around the sun, which we don't want because we will have no other way of getting back at that point. So I think right around 47,000 meters in Kerbin's above Kerbin is good enough for us to do what we need to do. So let's just time warp until we are close. And while we are in space above Kerbin, we don't want to forget to go ahead and log some scientific data from space around Kerbin. And it looks like we don't have these two. So maybe if we do an EVA in space high, we also get a new thing. We've already done the EVA, but we hadn't done the temperature or pressure scan. So let's turn this ship so that it is pointing retrograde so we can slow down if need be. And I believe we will need to because we have impending doom awaiting us in 13 days if we do not. And it looks like even with just the atmosphere, we're going to bring our apoapsis down back inside of the sphere of influence of Kerbin, and it is coming down quick. We must be going very fast, a lot faster than I would like us to be going. So let's go ahead and kill more of that velocity off by burning in the retrograde direction. And we're bringing that apoapsis down pretty quick here. I'm liking this. I'm liking how this is turning out right now. And then as soon as we get rid of all of this fuel in here, we're just going to decouple this node and only bring down our Science Junior Command module and all the science that comes with it. So let's go ahead and decouple that, and we should start slowing down more than this one. There's the heat. And let's see where our apoapsis is at. So we're not even at our periapsis yet, so we still have yet to reach the densest amount of atmosphere that we will. So this could end up being a very easy one-pass mission, because we're not even using that much ablator either. This looks good. This is promising. This is a very... Once again, both the Minmus missions have been very sloppy. I think it's the inclination change that really messes with me. Both the Minmus missions, I feel like, have been very, very sloppy, but we've got them done, you know? We've gotten done what we need to get done, and we're gonna bring back Jebediah safe as ever to back to Kerbin's surface. And so it is safe to deploy our parachute. That's always a good sign, especially at a decent altitude. So let's go ahead and jettison this heat shield so we can get rid of as much. That didn't go as planned, did it? Okay, let's... Hopefully nothing breaks by doing that. Okay, bye-bye, heat shield. See you later. And there we go. We have touchdown of the Moon 2 lander back on Kerbin. Let's go ahead and do an EVA, see what we can't do right now. I should probably stop the time warp so we don't go flopping all over the place. We can do a surface sample, which I assume means that we will not be able to do any of the science stuff. So I'm just going to leave that as is, and we're going to recover the vessel. And there we go. We have earned the most amount of science that we have ever earned for one mission. Jebediah, we have done it once again. 572 science earned and 838 total science. Jebediah also gains 4 XP and is well on his way to that 3rd level and the maneuver hold. We may have lost our minds just a little bit there, but we still got the mission done. And as well, pretty much all of our contracts, every contract that we were going to complete in that mission, we got done. All we need to do to finish up our active contracts is plant the flag on the moon, which, like I said in the last video, we're going to save for a special occasion. Okay, so we now have a new Kerbin World First Record Keeping Society mission or contract, and that is to rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit of Minmus. So just like in the moon landing episode where we rendezvoused and got in very close to the orbit of one of the stranded vessels, we will have to do the same thing again. So hopefully there is a contract to rescue someone from the orbit of Minmus, so we don't actually have to fly 2 ships to Minmus. We can only just do it once and be done with it. So it looks like rescue Franklin from orbit of Minmus is going to be our best bet, but we're risking about 13,000 funds when we do this and quite a bit of reputation. So we're going to go ahead and accept it, but we are once again not going to complete that mission. The only reason we accept it is so that it places and generates that Kerbal in orbit around Minmus. So we don't have to take 2 trips there and just put one of our ships in orbit and then fly the other one over there and rendezvous with it. We can just have that person already orbiting Minmus. So let's go ahead and accept the Explore Minmus contract. And it looks like the only other one that I would like to do is science data from surface of the moon, because we do still have to land on the moon just like we talked about a little bit ago. And this will kind of just go hand in hand with that. So I think that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed your time here, go ahead and leave a like, comment, or subscribe down below. Hit that little bell notification so that you get notified every time that we go live or post a new video. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and trueachievements.com to keep up to date on other projects that I'm working on or peek in at my daily life if you so choose. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you dudes in the next video.